All right, guys, I just want to give you some personal conversations. So I quit smoking weed this month. It's only been 2 weeks, um, which is not a long time, obviously. It's only 2 weeks, and I'll be honest with you, it's felt like years, honestly. I thought I was hit close to a month, honestly. I think it's been like 16 days. Um, uh, and it it took me a very long time to just actually quit. I've been telling myself I want to quit for years. I believe I'm an addict when it comes with weed. Weed is a gateway drug. It's a gateway drug to procrastination, to laziness, to slower reflexes. It's a it's a gateway drug to, yeah, it helps you open your mind and makes you think of different possibilities. So because of that, you're more open-minded to stuff like mushrooms and other hardcore drugs and things like that. Um, that's always 100% true. That's why it is a gateway drug. I finally understood that. I always believed, no, weed's not a gateway drug. It's not addictive. It's not this. It's not that. Well, guess what? If you're the one saying that it's not addictive, well, when was the last time you did not smoke weed for 3, 4, 5 days? Probably never. Um, and if you're watching this video, well, maybe you are the guy that hasn't smoked weed in 4 or 5 days, and you can, say, oh, I'm only going to smoke on Saturday nights or something. Then yeah, maybe it's not necessarily an addiction for you. But for most people, yeah, it is an addiction because it's okay. So what people don't realize, and I don't realize this either, so I had a lot of money invested into two different types of grows, licensed grows in Colorado. And when I learned the entire process on how it works, how to grow like cannabis, um, I realized like it makes sense why people are addicted. It just makes perfect sense. It's You're talking about canna A and B, zyme, um, phospholode, carboload, and like the La Muñeca, and there's like 4, 5, 6 other products that I can't even remember. I'll just know it if I see it in front of my face. The majority of them, you know what they are? Just different forms of sugars. That's all it is. It's just different types of sugars. And sugar activates your brain the same way cocaine activates in your brain. So if there's just 5, 6, 7 different types of sugars, why wouldn't cannabis do the same exact thing as like what sugar and coke does? It's just a sugar. They use different types of sugar to grow the bud. So that's why people are like you smoke an ounce, a quarter, an eighth, whatever it is. You have to smoke a blunt in the morning and before you go to bed. It's just different sugars, man. Like it's not good for you. And the truth is that even if it's considered quote unquote organic, organic doesn't mean they're not killing animals. That's not true. So if you're a vegan and say, "Oh, I smoke weed," well, guess what? You're most likely still smoking spiders and other types of like mites, like spider mites and other types of bugs that's in there. Um, it just because it's organic doesn't mean it's not there. That's completely false. The definition of organic just means that 90% of the ingredients come from from the environment. They're not nothing natural. Natural means 70% of the ingredients come from like plant-based options. That's all it means. It doesn't mean that there's not animals involved and you're not killing them. Because guess what? The other thing that we have to do for marijuana, you got to give it poison. You have to. So, they call them la bombas, the little bombs. I don't know what they're really called. There's like two different kinds, and you put them on there once to kill eggs and once to kill the actual spider. You got to put them on every 10 days. And before you go to flower, there's like a spray like neem oil and other things that they put that way it just stays clean. That's organic, sure. But like it's almost nearly impossible for there to not, because these spiders eventually become super resistant to all these poisons, so they just stay there, and there's not much you could really do about it. So you're consuming spiders, you're consuming poison, you're consuming sugar, um, and that in itself is like Like think about it, if I told you I'm gonna give you a breakfast of sugar, poison, and spiders or whatever, like how would you feel? Like would you still consume it? Probably not. Some of you in the comments be like, yeah, but that's great protein. Yeah. Or, you'll see like Baki's dad, Yujiro, would be like, well, you always consume things that not only are good for you, but are also bad for you because, you want to build up your immune system, things like that. Like, I know there'll be comments like that if this video blows up. But it's, even though I knew this for at least a year, more than a year and a half, 2 years. I know this is 2020. Really, the I didn't stop. I didn't stop. I just realized I woke up one day last this whole year, and I've been practically going through a midlife crisis because I'm turning 30. I feel like I'm going through a midlife crisis because a lot of things, I've made a lot of money, lost a lot of money, I've done a lot of great things, and I realized like, man, like I kind of feel like I'm back to where I was before. And so I realized like, look, one of the things I know for a fact, I just didn't want to identify myself, my character, my behavior, my attitude based off of a plant. Um, I knew it was made me lethargic. I knew it made me lazy. I knew it helped me procrastinate. And that's not what I want in life. And so I didn't want to start my 30s like saying like, oh, like I'm attached to this thing. This is the most addictive body language. Um, because you're always putting food in your mouth, you're scratching your hair, you're probably rubbing someone's head, if you have a significant other, you're drinking, you're smoking, whatever it is. This is one of the most common, because this means hunger, this means anything. Um, so it's one of the most addictive body languages. So it's one of the ones I wanted to break the paradigm, saying like I don't necessarily have to do this for everything. Um, so the first uh, honestly, the first 10 days were the hardest because I already suffered from certain levels of insomnia, and I knew one of the ways to break it is I had to stop drinking energy drinks, and I had to stop smoking weed. So I've already been able to cut down my energy drink intake once I start cutting weed because I'm not doing this as much. I'm not necessarily needing to do this. And so yeah, I lost like 12 pounds. Yeah, I did because the thing is, weed gets absorbed in your fat, and just by cutting that down, the fact that I'm sweating profusely the first 10 days, I'm not really sleeping. Um, I lost a freak ton of weight. At the same time, like I fast and I eat well always. So it's, my diet is a big thing, and I'm doing a cut down either way to finally lose the little bit left I have on my belly. Um, but the moment since it stops getting absorbed in your fat cells, it's just easier to burn fat. It's easier to just get rid of it. That's what my body's basically been telling me. I'm not a scientist. Maybe that's not necessarily true, but that's how I look. That's how I feel. That's what I've been responding to, which has been great, honestly. And it's still a little difficult. Like I have this little tiny piece of nug, like this there in my storage somewhere. I'm gonna throw it away because I don't want to be around it, man. It's not good for you. It really isn't. Like I think if you have to pick between mushrooms and cannabis, do mushrooms all day long. Like just microdose. Um, maybe no more than a gram, like once every month or something. Um, you can do just like microdose sessions where you do no more than 0.25 grams of mushrooms, like on a Wednesday and a Sunday. This entire calendar you can do for it, and they did a lot of studies on how it helps people with like depression, for example, depression, anxiety, PTSD. That's actually a lot more beneficial. I think it's only going to get worse if it gets federally legal, because then you'll have probably players like Monsanto that already add all these chemicals like Roundup into our food and all the agriculture. So I can only imagine what they will do to cannabis once it becomes federally legal. So it's not as healthy as people may think it is. It is a drug, and it's a very bad drug. I don't think it's healthy, and I'm an addict. So this is me telling you, like, as an addict, that I've always needed help. I thought about going to Marijuana Anonymous. Um, it's not really good for you, man. Like I've seen um, maybe 40, 50 different types of grows, and the food they put in. I've read the ingredients and what it's all sugars. It's all different types of sugar, and some of those ingredients, technically speaking, the reason why like they won't use it on like certain like dispensaries is because they have proven for cancer. So it's not necessarily healthy for you. I'm not saying because of this video you're gonna quit smoking, but I'm gonna let you know that what you've been told is just not true. Like what we smoke today compared to what our parents were smoking back in the 70s, 80s, it's a completely different thing. It's definitely not the same. And it's something to take into consideration because if you don't, you might be reprimanded within your own habits, your own lives, your own behaviors. And if because of weed is reducing your levels of productivity and is harming your relationships, well, that means it's probably a good idea to consider stopping. And that's what's happened. That's what happened to me. It all of that stuff I'm telling you, that's exactly what happened to me. And it was really hard to stop. And I know it's going to take, just because it's only been 2 weeks in, it doesn't mean that I won't go ahead and do it like in 3 months, 4 months. But that's what I'm concerned about. Because once I start again, I might do it. I might just continue doing it again. I don't want to smoke 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 like joints a day like I was, and it's just it's a horrible habit. You become reliant on it, and it's most of you, you're 100% are reliant. 100, most of you are addicts, but just like any addict, most addicts, you you won't admit it. You know, an alcoholic doesn't admit he's an alcoholic. A guy who's addicted to cocaine doesn't admit he's addicted to cocaine. A guy who loves pills doesn't admit that he's addicted to pills. Everyone says, "Yeah, I can stop whenever I want," but it's not true. It's just not true. And the one, me, it was just accepting the fact that I had to believe that, yeah, I am an addict. And just when I had to come to that realization that that's what happened, that that's who I am when it comes with this plant. Because I don't drink. I drink once in a while. Um, like once in a while I'll drink. A party once in a blue moon. I rather just travel, read. I like being home. Like I'm happy with myself. Um, and But yeah, man, like that's what happened with me. That's what's going on, and I maybe this gives some of you some realization to think like, yeah, maybe you are one, and if you are one, well, the it's probably time to move on from it. And if you're younger, let's say you're 16 years old, 21 years old, or someone who's like 16, 21, 15, show them this video. If I feel like weed was one of the reasons why I stopped working as hard as I did in basketball. Um, because during the time, my ex-girlfriend basically slept with like freaking half the school apparently. Like I only found out about this because a bunch of guys from my school and other high schools told me like, yeah, we all slept with her. And that was heartbreaking, and we had already broke up, but that even made things worse. And then I played basketball a lot more. But then when the season ended, which ended in May, because we May or June, because we do tournaments and whatnot. So season was like from November to June. Um, that July was pretty much my only month off. But from there, I just started getting lazy. I started getting like arrogant on myself. Like, yeah, I can do whatever I want, and that's not the truth. This is completely false. I started partying more. I started drinking more. I started smoking more, just to like avoid the pain. And avoiding the pain is one of the worst things you can ever possibly do. It's best just to confront it. Don't numb it. Just confront it and get it over with. And so maybe that's the reasoning why a lot of you started smoking weed, because you had a bad relationship, or you know, like someone died, you know. Like the very first time I even tried weed, I took one hit. I was 15, and this was I want to say it was like 2 3 months after my cousin committed suicide. And after he committed suicide, there was these two girls I was really good friends with, and one of them I wanted to have a relationship with, and her their dad uh, was raping them for apparently months, if not years. And February 29th, no, it's February 25th. The funeral was on the 29th. He killed the whole family. He killed the mom, both sisters, Javi, the older brother. He escaped through his window because he heard gunshots, and then the guy committed suicide. So there was forms of trauma in my life, which, yeah, I kind of wanted to numb the pain, and it wasn't the right way to do things. It was not. Um, Whatsoever. And even then, if the people you're associated with, that's all they do with their life, well, honestly, you're wasting time. So find other people that are not necessarily reliant on it, because you'll only become a better version of you if you don't allow yourself to be in that position of reliance. Um, so that's what happened to me. And then you know, I was pretty much, I really didn't start smoking until it was like that July of when I was 16. I was 17. Um, yeah, I was 17. That's when I really started smoking, and so it was 12 straight years of just smoking. And so I know it's gonna take like it apparently for actual recovery and to regain neural pathways and other things to help connectivity within your brain takes like a year, 2 years. So I know this is only the beginning of my journey, and so I hope only to give you positive results, that in the sense that I did not relapse. And so if this helps you out, or you think this can help out someone, I just been looking at my monitor when I can't look at the camera, because yeah, it's a little embarrassing, but it is what it is. I think it's good to share part of my personal story with all you guys, and but I hope this helps you guys out. If it helps you, like this video, subscribe, please follow, share this with someone you think might need to hear this. You might have to just watch it with them, because, well, people don't want to hear what they don't want to hear. And if that's one of those people, which that's like the majority, like even my friends, or were my friends, then you might just have to watch it with them if you really care. And maybe it helps them, maybe it doesn't. But thank you for your time, guys. You have a great one.